Peace, everyone, and welcome to the Four of Hearts week. I know I've missed a few weeks of this, and I do apologize. It's just been a little bit crazy. I've been traveling a lot, and I just haven't had a moment to really sit down and do the videos. But my traveling will be subsiding now for a little bit, and so I can sit down and really get these weekly videos out. So I do apologize for missing the Two of Hearts week and the Three of Hearts week. We are wrapping up the Four of Hearts week, but I wanted to get this out and then continue with the other cards as we get more into 2026. And I hope 2026 so far has been doing well for everybody. And I do love doing these. And so here we are. Four of Hearts energy, right? And we're in that heart energy each week. And with the fours, it's more about the security, the discipline, the stability. And it's a lot of the home, the family. And it's interesting too, because we have this storm that a lot of the country is dealing with where you may be stuck at home. Funny, in a Four of Hearts week, the home, the family feeling stuck. So as above, so below. And I hope everybody is safe out there. Now, let's look at where the Four of Hearts, I've already zoomed in so we can see the spread a little bit better where the Four of Hearts sits on the plate. This is Neptune, right? So the Four of Hearts sits Neptune, and this is Mercury. So their energy where they sit is Neptune, Mercury. And we know Neptune can be like that 12th house, the subconscious, the deep waters, the spirituality. But at times too, it can feel like there's stuck energy, 12th house, right? And it does, majority of its spread sits in Neptune. So it's like coming out of the water, which can be sometimes where it feels heavy, where it feels tough to kind of get to the surface. And with the Mercury being here, that mind can feel, deep. And they have a deep mind. They can definitely go deep with it. Because when you look at the rest of their spread, they have that Queen of Clubs. I think that's who they transform into. So they are meant to kind of teach and educate. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So that Neptune and Mercury, and it's like making sure they are communicating clearly and they're understood. Sometimes that can be challenging with this placement. Now let's look at the supporting karma card and the challenging karma card of the Four of Hearts. I find it's interesting that both of its, karma cards are spades. And with the Ten of Spades, they may, come from big families or be like that rock or solid person that their family can rely on for like emotional support. Because fours are solid. When you think about it, it's four walls. Table has four chairs or four legs. It's that building a house, building a home. And we know the Four of Hearts as like a marriage card, a family card, emotional security, emotional stability. But I think what's most important for the Four of Hearts is creating that within themselves first. And because that Ten of Spades is a supporting karma card, they're kind of not leaving that energy, but they're learning how to kind of like grow from that energy into that Four of Spades. And with the tens, it's like you can be everybody relies on you, everybody comes to you, everybody looks to you, supporting others or the family, because it's a 10, it's mass, it's the crowd. But there's also like a healer. Ten of Spades is overcoming, any obstacles, kind of like the 8, but there's a lot of success, a lot of opportunity, right? They could have been, again, dealing with mass groups of people, the masses, an audience, and really, again, having to take care of or be even like someone that people depend on, right? And it's not to say that they're leaving that, but they also are going into this Four of Spades, which is creating more stability, more protection. This is a very strong health card. So really being able to overcome, being a healer, really more in anything, like they have the power to heal the family, heal the wounds, heal, maybe that's exactly what they're here to do, right? Through that lineage of their roots, right? But also knowing that they're safe, knowing that they're protected. But again, creating that within themselves, that emotional security, that emotional balance, that emotional, that solidness and feeling safe, feeling secure is key for this energy. And with the Four of Spades, there's this essence of being protected, being solid, being more, that stability. Now, the low side of the four is being, again, stuck or stubborn and like dealing with control or not, wanting to grow, staying complacent. That's the low side of that energy. And then when we look at their Mercury card, it's a 4. So there are a few cards where like the 3 of Clubs, their Mercury card is a 3. I think what's the other one that I think has that? The Six of Clubs. Their Mercury card is the Six of Spades, so it's like a double whammy of that energy, right? Because not only are their Sun energy, but their Mercury, their mind is very similar. And so there again, there can be that stubbornness, closed minded, but it also shows when they're clear, when they're focused, when they're organized, they can really attract more success, more stability, more opportunity to, build something solid. Four of Diamonds, and it may again feel like it's taking time. They need more, a process of doing things. It's not a quick moving. They have to process the information. So if you know a Four of Hearts, you understand why it may take them longer to kind of compute or comprehend, because they're putting it in like slots. They're compartmentalizing it. They're, breaking it into pieces, and they're building something from it. But again, it gives them that clarity, that focus, that ability to see things and like create more opportunity to, have success. And it comes through discipline. Again, it's that, this is what I want and I'm not wavering. But the low side is being really stubborn in that as well. So it has its plus and its minuses, and it's just what are we working with, right? Now, Venus for them is a two of spades. So partnerships, friendships, working with others, those connections, right? And that sits Venus or Neptune, Mars naturally. So their relationships can be intense, and that two of spades, it is like, creating opportunity where you can work together, where we can be friends, we can, come together with different ideas. But it is also about cooperating, listening, not trying to control, not moving from spaces of fear or lack or codependency, because that's the low side of the twos, right? But there also can be like partnerships can create more success, more opportunity, more money, more resources, and there could be even when they really that they're, they have to be mindful of like overdoing it in the partnerships, having a two there. But it also creates like where they enjoy those connections as well, because Venus, and it brings pleasure, and also can bring, opportunity for business, for money, etc. Their Mars card is the Eight of Hearts. So there is, I love to say the hearts have that Rico Suave, and then that Eight of Hearts is that Playgirl, Playboy energy. So there is a lot of charm, and, just even aesthetically, they can turn that on. And there's a lot of passion when there's a heart in Mars. I mean, it's like it, whew, there's a lot of fire, a lot of, relationships. Now, the Eight of Hearts can bring a lot of emotional healing, but it's a powerhouse of a card to have in Mars. So it can make the Four of Hearts seem like bullyish or forceful or even manipulative on the low side. And they have to be mindful of having like unreasonable demands from others, or, trying to control or dominate or, manipulate. But instead, like, that's a very strong card of like grace, and really just realizing you don't have to force, you don't have to push. You're naturally powerful. It just showing up in its own can bring a lot of opportunity. But again, dealing with the public, dealing with people, you just turn on that charm and that Rico Suave. It's, what is that? When you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar, like that is that sweetness. It's like knowing when to, being firm is one thing, but you can do it with a smile. You can be it with grace. And it's like people are more receptive to that. When people feel like you're trying to dominate them or force, that's where it can be where you get resisted too. So, and taking responsibility for that heart, big emotional energy, because again, it can definitely gain her a lot of power. Now, and this is where it's like you can't, you don't want to manipulate, because you got two sixes in your spread, and karma will definitely catch up to you. And so they have a Six of Clubs in Jupiter. And usually when there's a six in Jupiter, we're on the receiving end of things that are owed to us. So if you like what's been showing up, keep doing more of what you've been doing. But if you don't like what's showing up, it's showing you, you got to look at yourself. It's just coming back to you when you look at the number six, right? The way it goes. So, and it's a good way to say, oh, wait, keep doing more, or, maybe I need to make some adjustments. Now, the Six of Clubs is also that messenger card. So the messages that they get come from like that higher source, that, that deep connection to like the universe in ways. And they have a strong sense and a strong duty to deliver those messages, but they have to be responsible. They have to keep their word, because you can't escape that. And also, again, when we look at this, it's all even numbers. So that it can feel like it's a lot of trines or a lot of easier energy. It may flow a little bit better, where like the odd numbers are looked at in more like square squares and oppositions. But it doesn't mean that they don't have to work hard, because that's what this is. Like, it's your effort that rewards too. If you just stay stuck and lazy, you're gonna get that type of stuff back to you. But if you put forth the efforts, you get rewarded with those sixes. You get back what you put into things. So having that in Jupiter can also make them like, wanting to constantly learn more, wanting to dive into spiritual work. Again, being that messenger, being that one who kind of brings the truth to others, but doing it in a responsible way. Now, their Saturn card is the Six of Spades. This is the strongest card of fate. And then to have it in Saturn, again, you cannot escape this. And the sooner they understand that, the sooner that they realize it all comes, from you, from within, and you get back even swifter with having that Six of Spades. But there's also a strong health card, and taking very strong accountability for your health. Like, if you, because when you look at where it sits and all that Neptunian energy and all that, sometimes indulging or escaping or whatever, it can go overboard. And again, if you're not taking care of yourself, not having some kind of balance, it can affect your health. And again, this is a very strong card of accountability, responsibility, duty, fate. And it's almost, their lives probably feel very fated, very destined, but they also have to learn patience, trust in the timing of things. And we all in this week, because again, for some, this can feel like it's dragging. It's slower energy. It's not meant to be fast. It's not meant to be like, on the fly, like threes and fives may be. So taking your sweet time, moving accordingly. Again, that's one step at a time. Building something solid is not something that, it takes time to build a house. You cannot build it overnight. So it's, and having patience with that slowing down. And then what is that? Uranus card is the Queen of Hearts. Yeah, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Uranus card is the Queen of Hearts. So the wanting to serve and nurture, there is this, wanting to protect energy with the Queen. But again, this also can show as addictions and escapism or overindulging, but it also gives them intuition that can come from unusual sources. It also gives them even more of that Rico Suave, that very sensual energy, and maybe even diving into more sensual practices and taking that and like to teaching others, helping others, mothering the world. They feel like they have this duty of like having to take care of, the world, because it's Uranus, which is Aquarius, which is that humanitarian, and then having a queen, the mother, so trying to take care of everybody. So they have to be mindful of having boundaries or overdoing it. If they're going to do it, you want to do it from that overflow, but also mothering and nurturing themselves. Again, just their card in itself is like creating that emotional balance and security and protection and safeness within you. And then that you're able to kind of give and nurture others without like draining or depleting yourself, right? Now we know they then climb up to the crown line. And this is the Ten of Clubs is their Neptune card. And this also kind of gives them the ability to teach spiritual studies, almost have a quicker and better understanding of maybe what information that others may have challenges obtaining. Because the Ten of Clubs is the coach, it is the teacher, it is like the computer brain that is constantly thinking, constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly not going off. So one, they have to be mindful. They may deal with like troubles with sleeping at night or their dreams. It can almost feel like their mind is still up, but their body may be sleeping. So it's really good if they find healthy ways. And maybe some of us have dealt with this week too, our dreams, our mind not really being able to turn off. So we may have had to like exhaust ourselves in some way, but it also opens you up to spiritual studies, doing well with groups of people. Again, maybe even taking some far out there knowledge and making it digestible for others. This also, again, that audience, working with an audience, being in front of an audience can definitely be something that or wanting that attention, you'll see that as well. And then their Pluto card is the Eight of Diamonds. And if you remember, their Mars card is an 8. So they have that 8 or that, same number, different suit from Mars and Pluto. And it does show, again, consistency, when they can focus, like, okay, so this week, if you had a goal and you wrote everything down and you went through and you checked everything off, that sense of I finished, I completed, I feel successful should be, kind of following, like knocking everything off your list. Also, Eight of Diamonds is like, financial decisions, business, being able to, stay consistent, but they do have to be mindful of like that force, that bully, that push, that control, that power. That's the low side. Remember, this is a sun sign or sun energy, and it's their Pluto. So there can't even be some, internal, I want to be seen, but I don't want to be seen. I want to be seen. I have fears of being seen. I don't want to be perceived this way. But they know deep down they're meant to kind of maybe bring something to the light. So it's like their own fears. And even everybody this week, it's like, what are we afraid of? What are we hiding behind? And we also may have seen and are seeing like control and power struggles within all different types of people. And it's definitely being played out, right? And trying to show dominance in some type of way as well. And it's interesting when you think about it, the King of Spades is the reward card for the Four of Hearts, and it's connected to this Eight of Diamonds being in Pluto. So it does require a lot of mastery, and it just shows the Four of Hearts person, when they stay consistent, when they don't give up, because that's a part of those eights. The reward is the most powerful card in the deck, but it's beyond that. It's like realizing you have the power within you. It's you and God co-creating your life. Now the low side of that is, again, as you see, they have a lot of those even numbers, that stubbornness, that stuckness. It's fixed. It's like, can't tell me nothing. But are you open? Because remember, with the King of Spades, this is mastery, and that mastery comes through experience, wisdom. Though it's more about the character, it's the integrity, it's not the quantity, it's not the accolades, it's the work, it's the meaning behind the work. But it's also like working within you and realizing you and God are co-creating. And it's like the power has always been within you, and having that King of Spades as a reward card can definitely be something. When the Four of Hearts realizes that, there's nothing that can stop them but them. And so in this week that we all are experiencing, we're seeing a lot of power moves, power struggles, maybe, dealing with different opinions and enforcing this, and again, even the weather, right? And I find that it's interesting too. I've been tracking a lot of the weather incidences, or, big weather things that have played out the last 2 years. And I find tens tend to be attached to the energy. And especially now, when I was saying earlier how the Four of Hearts has their supporting karma card is a Ten of Spades, and then you have the Neptune card is the Ten of Clubs. And we know Neptune is water, and what is all the freezing rain, the snow, the ice, water. And the tens is a mass area. Did y'all see how big that storm was? And then the storm keeps you home, Four of Hearts. So it always is playing out, and I just think it's such a little good like rabbit hole to dive down that I like to do sometimes. So anyways, King of Spades being that reward card. And again, there can be that stuck energy, fixed energy, but it is brings a lot of mastery, and really, again, like seeing it's you are driving the ship, you are the captain, you're steering the boat. And then the cosmic lesson is the Three of Hearts. And it's interesting that that's the lesson to the Four of Hearts, because again, there can be some rigidness, some stuckness, some complacent energy, or just staying within the four walls. But the threes are like, but let's try this, and what about this, and let's have this and this and this. So when they really can, open up, and especially like tap into that inner child, that playfulness, that creativeness, that fire, that passion, it can give them opportunity. It can give them more. It can give them, the chance to kind of explore and experiment and try something that they may not have tried, because they have to come out of the four walls that they may build around themselves. So really opening up to that creativeness, and really experimentation, and trying new things, going to different places, meeting new people, and maybe even like traveling outside of the home, or just exploring. It would definitely be very beneficial for that card. And then the cosmic moon is the Ace of Clubs. So really, again, like relying on self, All the answers are within. You're supported by that ace. So, one, you're supported by new and fresh starts and new opportunities and new beginnings and new ways of communication, new information, asking lots of questions. With that ace of clubs being the cosmic moon, it's like they're emotionally curious. They can be very young and like very like their questions are coming from a space of, I want to grow, I want to know more. But it also is about trusting yourself, trusting what you feel, trusting what you know, listening to that intuition that, especially since it's connected to the moon. And then they transform into the Queen of Clubs, which again, kind of going to like being that mother, being that teacher, being someone that, brings some kind of knowledge, but even more so like trusting your intuition, allowing yourself to receive. I feel like that Four of Hearts is even maybe even possibly here to heal like the family dynamics. They have an opportunity to kind of like break cycles that may be that in the home or in the family, and allow themselves to kind of elevate to being of service, connecting with others in some way, shape, or form. And it comes through a lot of that, like those family dynamics, because that's the mother, right? And the four is like the home. So really like even creating more of a safe space. But again, it comes from within, and then you can bring that out to others as well, because there's a lot of security with that. Because the Queen of Clubs will then, on the low side, try to like save everybody. But if you're solid in who you are, you realize you don't, saving everybody is not something that you have to do. But she does bring knowledge and information, and there is this sense of mothering, but it requires that safety within first. So because mother, when she's well loved and well taken care of, she can then be more generous to others. But it's when she is doing it from a depleted space or an empty space or a drained space that it can become more savage and off with your head type of energy. So as we move through the final few days of the Four of Hearts week and getting ready to embrace the Five of Hearts week, because the Five of Hearts week can be a little chaotic. We may want more. There could be restlessness. There can bring a lot of change seeking. Fives are shifting energy, and I do track a lot of things with fives, and it's interesting what shows up when fives are around heavily. It can bring disruption. So, but this week, let's stay present, create that security, create that home, create that safety within, and what, however that looks for you, right? And a lot of people may be home due to the weather, and maybe there was on purpose so that you can reconnect with your family, with your ancestors, with your roots, and really appreciating that, the four walls that you have built are solid. And if they aren't, then maybe this is an opportunity to, rebuild that castle, rebuild those walls, and making sure that they're solid. So I hope it's been a beautiful week. And I will definitely be doing the Five of Hearts week in a few days, so you look out for that one. And also, if anybody that watches this is interested in learning these cards, next Sunday, I, with another teacher, will be doing a 9-week course. It's called Your Destiny Through the Cards, because these cards are very magical in regards of like your path, your purpose, your energy, and understanding yourself. So if you would like some more information, you can go to thefuldeck.net, www.thefuldeck.net, and go under the shop and look for the course. There's information. If you have any questions, email me at guidedbythecards@gmail.com. We will be starting Sunday from 12 to 2 on Zoom, and be going through the foundation, the basics, and how to really understand the system to help benefit your life and anybody else in your life. So that's a 9-week course, and I'm really excited to be teaching that. I love these cards. They're life-changing. So join us if you will, if you are interested in possibly learning more about these cards. So I hope it's been a beautiful week, and I will talk to y'all next time. Peace.